Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting issue of the Boring Enterprise Nerdcast. I'm Jelena Perfilieva, and my co-host, as usual, is Paul Moderman.
Hi, everyone.
Awesome. So Paul and we did a presentation at ASUG Tech Connect event last year in New Orleans, and thank you so much to ASUG for inviting us. One of our presentations subject was upskilling. We had very, very funny titles, Skillpocalypse and How Not to Become Extinct. And we got a lot of feedback on this session. Very many people were interested and also wanted to share it with their colleagues and friends. So we promised to do a follow-up on what we talked about in this session. So here you go now, as promised, in front of you is the said follow-up. We talked about one very interesting blog post in our session. It's called How to Future-Proof Your Learning. I think this writer talks about here, it's a really great foundation for your learning, and definitely future-proofing is something that I think everyone in SAP world considering, because technology changes so much. You need to invest in the proper tools and make sure that all the effort and time that you spend on your upskilling and learning, it actually has a lot of value. It retains its value. So, Paul, do you have any thoughts about this blog?
So I think the title is probably the most genius part of
Yeah.
this is because future proof kind of means to me that I'm always kind of simultaneously walking in the now and I'm walking in the future, meaning that sometimes when I'm learning something or sometimes when I'm upskilling, if we're going to use the hot word these days,
Yeah.
it's not so much that if I don't learn this skill, I will be fired right now. It's more that like the the little Pac-Man monster that eats the knowledge nuggets is always hungry, and the little career Pac-Man that eats your time nuggets is always hungry too. And so one of the best ways to sort of get ahead of the monster is just plopping more and more of the little pellets down in front of Pac-Man, so that when your career goes, into the future a little bit, Pac-Man still has the nuggets to eat and get powered up and go further. And that's what this is simultaneously walking in the now and in the future.
Yeah. Awesome. Paul had really great idea about having a model for your upskilling. So, Paul, I'm gonna let you talk about that.
Yeah. The model that we kind of dreamed about and I throw around all the time these days is an architectural model for your skill learning and career development. This is probably mostly closely attuned to like development nerds, but I think maybe it can generally apply, but development nerds especially should pay attention to this. So if you think about something like the Golden Gate Bridge or the Cathedral at Notre Dame, or even like huge, big, tall radio towers, there are several things that those things have in common that I think are good metaphors for what we need to do. The first thing is they have a foundation, right? Notre Dame has this huge, like, cement foundation that you don't even look at when you go there, but it's there. It has to support all the things. That foundation thing represents core skills that you would need no matter what you were doing in in any particular job in your job category, right? So think of like if you're a programmer, you need to know what variables are, you need to know what compilers are, right? That kind of stuff.
Mm.
That's sort of core skills that no matter what you would do in a programming job elsewhere, you'd be carrying those things along. What those things also have is kind of a main structure, right? So for the Golden Gate Bridge, it's the bridge, the part where the cars drive. For Notre Dame, it's like the cathedral where you go in and you look at all the artworks and stuff like that. For the radio towers, it's like the tower itself that broadcasts the signals. Those are what I call the role specific skills that for the job you're doing now, the skills you need that are on top of your foundational core skills, right? So if you knew everything there was to know about, pick a programming language, let's say ABAP. If you knew everything in the world about ABAP and you got a new job, that knowledge by itself would not be enough to do the job, because there will be things that you need to know for your role at that company or assignment that are on top of that core skill. Okay. Finally, I think there are also, in this model, there are the supports. So if you think about the Golden Gate Bridge, those huge like spires and support things, the wires that hang it. If you think about the Notre Dame Cathedral, think about the flying buttresses that hold up the walls of the cathedrals and allow you to build it higher, but also allow you to build windows inside the walls and look outside and see further down the road. Or you can look at the other cathedrals in your area, right? You can figure out if maybe you want to walk to that cathedral and go there next. Or if you think about like a radio tower, think about the guy wires, the wires that attach to the ground, that attach to the main radio mast. Those wires let you build the tower even higher because they provide support and structure, even if they themselves are not broadcasting radio signals, right? So those things are also like, I call these growth enablement skills in the model. So your flying buttresses, your growth enablement skills are the things that they may not enhance your role right now, but they broaden your perspective and make it so that walking across the street somewhere else or becoming, a bigger truck on the bridge or whatever you want to call it is easier. It gives you perspective and gives you skills that like leap over the top of the role specific skills to grow you further and further. So that's my architectural model of these kinds of skills. And for us, both Jelena and I, we have put together a collection of thoughts and tools and links for both front end and back end SAP development skills that we think people will be really keyed up to learn really well to grow in all those areas. So, Jelena, do you want me just to jump into the front end ones? Is that what I should do?
I think while you do that, it's a good opportunity to promote our SAP press books. So Paul will talk about front end stuff, and after that, I will share about back end stuff. And correspondingly, Paul have written book on SAP UI5 among other things. And I have also written book about ABAP. So if you're interested in the subjects, please search for them and I don't know, maybe read them. They are useful, I think.
That is an excellent segue into some of so I'm gonna talk about front end kind of stuff.
Plug.
Yeah, plug. Please go buy them and make us even richer than we already are. Because I'll tell you the truth, those books have made us fantastically
incredibly
wealthy.
rich.
Incredibly
we
wealthy.
can afford just sit around and talk.
we can just sit around and talk about really cool links that tell you about strange architecture models for skills. All because we wrote books. Okay, so from the perspective of being like a front end focused, front end-ish developer, I think some of the foundational skills, and I'm not going to show you links for these are just sort of foundational things. You got to know your HTML, CSS, JavaScript. If you're not coming to the table with that stuff, you're kind of behind the curve already. SAP provides some really good Fiori design guidelines. We'll link that in the links down below. Those are all great for like, if you have somewhere you want to go with a UI design, the guidelines are such a great place to start with. Like, there are very, very few applications that fall really far outside of those design guidelines and the easy paths that can walk you through. If you're a front-end developer, you got to understand HTTP. You got to know what HTTP requests are. Get a good understanding of cores, cross-source and resource sharing. Get a good understanding of CSRF and CSRF tokens. That will help you, and it'll also help you back-end developers for OData too. And of course, if you're a front-end developer or you're looking to skill into that, look into the developer tools that are built into Chrome, Edge, Firefox, Safari, etc. Those developer tools are amazing, and they will instantly give you the feedback you need to make your application builds really fast and powerful. Okay, but I'm just going to go past this stuff because this is kind of foundational stuff. The structural stuff that I think people carry along with them. And some people are aware of, some people are not. Here's what I think we should be looking at there. One of the great things about the world of SAP UI5 is that like web developers are coming into this world, even if they're not like SAP, classic ABAP, ECC, S4 developers with ABAP. They come into this world with external knowledge of the rest of the world and how the rest of the world does web development. And one of the most powerful pieces of that stuff is TypeScript. And UI5 is evolving to start to include and make use of TypeScript in development for this. And this is a great place to sort of start mashing up your outside world knowledge with SAP and SAP UI5 knowledge and bring it together there. So that's a great thing. Fiori elements, of course, is a great thing to know. For some of those fast, quick builds you want to do, elements can get you there pretty quick.
And I think it's great to know for backend developers as well. It's actually been incorporated in a lot of ABAP prep training. It's really nice and quick way without knowing anything about front-end development, pretty much, to create some very quick apps.
Yeah. There are, of course, several flavors of low-code, no-code tools. And while right now, I don't think us developers, are going to be replaced by low-code, no-code tools, I do think we should be aware of them because many, many, many companies these days are investigating them and using them to build things. Not least of which is my own company, but I'll get to that in a second. SAP Build, of course, is a set of low-code, no-code tools that is currently sort of rising in usage, like insular inside the SAP community. Neptune Software is an interesting vendor that's been out there for a few years now, creating low-code and no-code tooling for SAP and other platforms. My personal favorite is Microsoft Power Platform. If you talk about low-code, no-code tools, and you talk about like the power that you can bring to stuff, that this is just simply soup to nuts, the best thing out there in the world. And I mean that both in terms of like the SAP stuff, because you can connect SAP to this stuff, but also in terms of like, if you're not building something that's necessarily enterprise grade, but it's going to help you and a couple of your friends or a couple of your coworkers do something, Power Platform is the fastest way to do it and the best way to do it, bar none, just bar none. Finally, structurally, unless you have do you have a comment there?
No, I was just gonna say we should get paid by Microsoft
I
at
know.
this point. I think it's a third time this came up just this week alone. So Microsoft, if you're listening, wink.
Yeah. You can get a hold of our ad agents at 1-800 not real.
Get some coffee there. Right, sorry.
It's okay. The other plug I wanted to get at is progressive web apps and service workers, which I think, again, in the outside world beyond SAP UI5 development specifically, but very common in the other part of this world is, so I think it's kind of structural, is progressive web apps are, we'll link to this, of course, a really great way to think about using all of the power available to you in a browser to do things that you used to have to build native apps to do. That includes offline, that includes notifications, that includes using browser storage for better stuff. There's a lot of stuff available these days that didn't used to be as powerful, and people are waking up to it more and more all the time. A different plug, for which I should also get some kind of money, an important part of progressive web apps is service workers. And a friend of mine, Carmen, wrote a book about service workers that you should go buy, and you should go get the companion videos about it. This is really good. I worked with Carmen. I can vouch for her as an actual true skilled person. She's not a BS, content stealer author. She knows her stuff, and this is good stuff. Service workers are a key part of progressive web apps, and you should check that out. So when we talk about front-end stuff, we also want to think about like the growth enablement stuff, the next level up stuff. Some growth enablement stuff that is like coming down the pike, but is really powerful for the world. in the front end space is start thinking about WebAssembly. WebAssembly is a standard and a spec that is now shipped in all of the major browser engines. And it is a binary format for doing more and more types of programming that you can live in the browser with. One of the best implementations of this is .NET Core with Blazor WebAssembly. So you can use like Visual Studio Code, and include the tooling that Microsoft provides to create WebAssembly apps that live on your computer and do this. So when you're writing your .NET code or whatever, that code is executing on the browser. That C# code, that Python code, whatever that may be, that's executing on the browser. And so it gives you really powerful access to more and more libraries, and it's very cool. Another thing that our front-end developers should look to the future with is, I think there's no language that's more powerful these days than Python. So here's a great Python class for this. Google has been a fan of Python for years, and they've published tons of material on Python. I think this is one of the best ways to get into Python, start learning it. When you go there, then start to think about Django, the web framework that's built in Python and built for Python. It is fast, it is scalable, and this is the most batteries included thing I've ever worked with. It comes with all the bells and whistles, and there's all kinds of things you can add on to it. I've done some projects with Django, and it was like I never needed to step outside the box. Everything was just there for me, ready to go, and it was so powerful. Another Python tool that I love these days is Streamlit, which is this really interesting, really cool way. All you got to do is add some little statements, sprinkle some statements into your Python code as it is, and you get a web app for free out of it. And you can publish those web apps to the web and share them with your colleagues, coworkers, whatever. For work, I've done this for folks to help them do something, and it's all contained in one Python project. And I just do a little statement that says put a button here, and it does that on the screen. There's no more front end wrangling. It's so powerful for experimenting. Finally, the last thing I want to plug on the growth enablement future side is for the front end tools. This is really actually very interesting. I'm up to UI5, which is a really cool project where you can create SAP UI5 apps using the ABAP language inside SAP. So you can write your standard ABAP stuff, and it will spit out a nice, clean-looking UI5 app. So powerful, friendly for ABAP developers, actively supported, actively maintained. The last changes were hours ago on things. This is stuff that people are into and looking at. The team that maintains this is doing a great job, I think. So that's that.
There are also some blog posts on SAP community about this. Again, like you said, there is a great group of enthusiasts behind this project. So really great tool to use and be involved with.
Guys, awesome. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I kind of went nerd bonkers there a little bit too much, but there's so much out there. Please reach out to us, and I can help you find more stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. So if this was not enough,
there's more.
Wait, there is more. So thank you, Paul, for sharing this front end stuff. I will talk a little bit about the backend. So for backend, in a similar fashion, there is certain foundational knowledge that is needed. One of the main ones, I think, and I'm talking here about, of course, an SAP world, mostly ABAP developers, but a lot of this will apply to backend developers, no matter in which technology you're working. I would say that these days, object-oriented programming is one of the obvious main tools and concepts that you need to be aware of and know. I'm not saying that you need to become an expert, great, awesome designer of objects, especially in SAP and ABAP world, where there are good approaches, but it's not really, as I would say, as heavy user of full buffet of object orientation as many other languages. So I think considering this kind of, I'm not going to call it limited, but kind of naturally walled in situations that we have with object orientation, we still need to have like good knowledge of just basic concepts. So I don't have a link for it, but there is just huge number of courses, and it's being taught as part of just basic computer science curriculum these days. So unless you graduated like me many years ago, before that was cool, you probably know about this already. So some other foundational stuff, SQL, and I totally am aware there are many varieties of SQL, but honestly, it doesn't really matter which variety you have either experience with or aware of. Just the main SQL concepts, the language, the very simple syntax. It's I would guess I would say it's even more important than OOP in ABAP specifically, because we work with data. It's a lot of what we do. It's really kind of, yeah, no shit, Sherlock, their main knowledge. But at the same time, you would be surprised how many people somehow don't really start with this. So I would say before you get into ABAP, definitely learn at least something about SQL. And this W3 schools, it's very good, very thorough explanation of, again, this core concepts that are needed. Then since the year is 2024, I think everyone needs to know about OData. It includes front-end and back-end developers. And Paul mentioned for front-end part that you also need to know like what HTTP is and REST. I would add that is also needed for ABAP developers as well. So look into that part of what Paul was talking about. And just once again, you don't need to be like huge, like renowned experts or invest like tons of time, but simply Googling how does HTTP work, what is REST, that can take you in the right direction and help you learn and understand the concepts. It's very important to understand. I would say if you can explain to your friend like what HTTP is and what REST is, you're in a good place. You may not need to even go further unless you end up there. And this is just main OData website where you can find all the tools and resources and everything you need. Then in SAP specifically, I think in-memory data management, because as you know, SAP HANA is in-memory database, and understanding how this specific databases work. HANA is not the only one. I think Oracle has one, probably many others, because it's a new thing. I think this course, it's very old. You can see 2017, but it talks about core concepts. It's also not about SAP HANA specifically, but exactly as it says, it's about in-memory data management. So I can definitely recommend this one, no matter its age, because those concepts have not changed since. You can still go in. It's free from OpenHPI, which, by the way, it's not OpenSAP, so it's not going anywhere. So I hope it stays there. It's also, I think, has
editorial.
a yeah, editorial. So I think Hessa Platter is also a pretty engaging presenter and lector. So I really enjoyed that course. I've taken it, have a paper to prove it, and I highly recommend it. So now, so just a last statement from the foundation. It's also hugely important to understand the role that database and application and operating system and then like web and whatever else is playing in your whole application and system, because I can see many times questions coming clearly from the place where people basically do not understand difference between database and application, or they do not understand how operating system is involved in running your application, etc. So I think if you have gotten this education as part of your just degree or whatever, that's great. If not, if you cannot really answer honestly to yourself that, yes, I kind of have a basic idea of how it works, what it does, then definitely try to go and dig in a little bit into that so that you really have understanding just for yourself. Again, no need to be an expert, just be able to explain to yourself and to a friend. So in terms of structure for ABAP, so we're moving into modern ABAP now. I have really great this cheat sheet from Brandeis Consulting. It's for modern ABAP. I think it's honestly greatest resource out there. Obviously, you can
So
find
good.
a lot more expensive documents and SAP help, etc. on it, but this really is super helpful, especially for experienced ABAPers who just want to learn the modern part of it, the new syntax, new commands. It's super duper helpful. So I highly recommend looking into this. And again, we will have links for the video. ABAP, RESTful Application Programming Model. By the way, RAP stands for RESTful Application Programming, not for RESTful ABAP Programming. So this is concepts that have been, I think, alive since maybe 2018 or so, around that. It became available, it says here, as for HANA 1909. I would say 2020, probably more realistic. 1909 was way too early. So it's been around for some time. If you hear about ABAP Cloud, ABAP Rep is actually included now in more like bigger ABAP Cloud concept. So it has not gone away. It has not really changed a whole lot, but it is one of the, I think, most important new programming model that we all need to learn about. And hopefully, if, for example, you are a developer who is still stuck with old ECC system and don't have access to rapid work, I think you need to find some opportunities to use some trial systems and do some hands-on exercises, because otherwise it will be very difficult for you to jump into future of ABAP. Then another piece is S/4HANA extensibility, and I'm just shamelessly promoting my own story on it for a newsletter, but for the reason because I have all the links here with some commentary. So many resources on this extensibility subject you can find here. So then moving into growth enablement for ABAP developers, clean ABAP obviously is subject of many conversations. Great tool, great repository here available totally free on GitHub. Then, as I mentioned, ABAP Rep has been kind of wrapped into bigger ABAP Cloud concept. There is really great FAQ document here. So learn about ABAP Cloud in addition to ABAP Rep. All right, so what else we have here? So there are many open source projects for ABAP. There is actually a page that consolidates them all. You can see amazing 256 projects. It's really, I think just a couple of years ago, there were like twice fewer. So it's
Oh
really
yeah,
amazing progress, and
it's growing a lot.
it's awesome to see so much enthusiasm there. And you can see Lars's pictures on many of them, and especially most popular ones. So go look at those projects, and yeah, ABAP 2 UI5 is here as well, and just learn about them. ABAP 2 XLSX is a great one to learn, so that you don't have to post blogs about doing Excel and ABAP anymore. And ABAP SDKs, it's a one piece that I want to mention here. Again, shameless plug, but now it's for I think it's Paul's article. Yep, it's
I think
sometimes
yeah,
having trouble
yeah.
remembering who wrote what. So here in this story, Paul talks about all the different SDKs for ABAP. Again, many links, very, very helpful. So then there are just a few tools I want to highlight for ABAP. Again, like Paul said, there is much more, but there is only that much time we can talk about it. Nuve platform that I think has been also getting some kind of buzz on social media
I
recently.
literally used this thing yesterday. This is a
Awesome.
legit thing.
So yeah, so very interesting tool, very interesting platform for backend developers for SAP. If yeah, if you need any more information, reach out to Paul. He just used it. There is also trial systems. As a again, if you're stuck in ECC, use one of those trial offerings to upskill, to learn new stuff, hands on. This is what is this Docker, our platform trial with Docker container, which I think this was kind of this was dead for a while and then
Yeah,
came back to life all
yeah.
of a sudden, thankfully. So thank you to SAP for resurrecting this. It's a really simple installation. using Docker, I think containers. That's the right way to put it. Of ABAP trial on your machine, so you can use it locally. No need for like cloud or paying anything. Then there is also, of course, BTP trial, free tier and trial access to ABAP systems using SAP BTP if you prefer that. So this will be always latest and greatest. It's free to use. So yeah, if you need any environment to upskill, to learn hands-on, then this is totally available.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we have provided pretty good information so far. And so Paul, I think we are good to close our episode. Any closing statements that you want to share?
So I have a couple thoughts about all this upskilling stuff
Mm.
that I think I can offer them from a perspective of some of this stuff kicked the crap out of me earlier in my career and in my life. And so I want to, if there's anybody who's, younger than us who's watching this stuff, if you stayed so far, I'm glad you're here. Please, if you look at it, if you're a young person or if you're just young to development and you look out at the world and you see social media rock stars and what looks like geniuses all over the place doing all the things that you wish you were doing, don't feel like you have to be that. Don't feel like you have to be like on week 2 that you have to be the best X person who ever lived. That's just not realistic, and you'll hurt your own self psychologically speaking if you try to do that above and beyond what you can do inside your own like health. Like some of the people who do that stuff on social media are kind of grinding themselves to dust as they go about doing it. Just like don't put yourself through that. Give yourself the health and the personal wealth of like I've done what I can and now I can rest and do something else. Just just love, if you love what you do, love what you do. If you don't love what you do, that's okay too. Sometimes you just got to pay the bills. Either way, it's okay to not do it all the time. That's the one thing. I just please do that. The other thing that I think the secret to upskilling, the secret because we just gave you like a million links and a million thoughts and whatever. Don't get caught in like analysis paralysis of like, oh no, what should I do next? Oh, did I make the right choice for what to do next? Like the secret to upskilling is, and I think this is true almost to an absurd degree, it doesn't matter what you choose, just choose something and go. Like you can't predict what's going to be important either for yourself or for the industry in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Knowing that you can't predict that, that should be freeing for you to say, you know what's really interesting is Raspberry Pi IoT stuff that I can use to open my garage door whenever my dog barks, right? If that's interesting to you and you want to learn about it, do that. And I promise the stuff that you learn when you do that, it will come into useful play for you later on. You may not connect the dots now, but nobody can. Just go learn something and be okay with just putting the energy in for learning it. And then, like I said earlier, when you're done, just be done. And it's okay if you go to bed at night not having learned anything new, because guess what? We all got to do stuff anyway. So don't beat yourself up for not learning something new every single day, every single hour. And when you make a choice, it doesn't matter what you choose, just choose something. That's all. That rambly thing, but I wanted to give that to folks.
Awesome. Yeah, I also just for me, I want to add that there is that great quote. I don't know the origin, but it says comparison is a thief of joy. And again, to add to what you said, Paul, sometimes we look at others and we see, oh man, there are great people who seem to be so good with it, and it comes so naturally to them. Don't don't do that. Don't
compare
don't
yourself to
start
them.
comparing
Yeah.
yourself. Just be what who you are, and just do what you like to do,
Yeah.
and you will be much more effective and productive with that, and much more future proof you, than trying to compare and trying to live up to some kind of ideal. And yeah. Awesome. All right. So to end on this great note, so just as soon as you finish this video, and you have liked and subscribed, of course, and read some of those resources that we have mentioned, just go and learn something. Whatever.
Yeah.
If you just watch through all of this and one thing stood out to you, just go open it and read something just a little bit about it. Just go and do. And the next day you will learn something else, or maybe day after that, and it will be totally fine, as long as you just keep going and just learning some new things all the time, periodically, weekly, bi-weekly, whatever works for you, honestly. So
Yeah.
you will be good and have great success. Awesome. All right. So thank you, Paul, and thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.